Okay, let's dive into this. We are looking at a truly fascinating, honestly kind of mind-blowing transformation in today's explainer. We're going to follow the story of Thomas. He's a 32-year-old night security guard who felt completely, absolutely stuck in what we're going to call the survival trap. You know the feeling, right? No money, no hope, and seemingly no future. But get this, within just 90 days, his entire life completely changed. And it literally all came down to one single, incredibly powerful habit that we are going to unpack right now. Will this be my life forever? That insanely heavy question was Thomas's daily internal struggle. Every single morning around 6 a.m., he'd walk back to his tiny, broken-down one-room apartment. And on that walk, he'd pass by houses where families were just sitting down to eat breakfast, kids were getting ready for school, people heading off to their daytime office jobs. He felt utterly, completely trapped. He was literally dragging himself home, completely exhausted, while the rest of his town was just waking up to actually live their dreams. And 8 o'clock. That time right there is where his trap began every single day. Thomas worked a totally grueling shift at a huge warehouse from 8 p.m. all the way through the night to 6 a.m. His salary? Barely enough to cover his basic survival. Now, he tried applying for better jobs, but with only a high school education, every single door was basically slammed in his face. He desperately wanted to learn new skills, but man, after working on his feet all night, walking like 4 miles just doing his security rounds, he was simply way too exhausted to do anything but crash and sleep. Hard work all by itself, it just wasn't changing anything for him. Then we hit this massive emotional turning point. On a freezing cold November morning, Thomas got a terrifying call. His mother had actually collapsed from extreme stress and exhaustion. He rushed over to the village clinic and found her lying there, so incredibly weak in this hospital bed. She pulled him close and whispered, "Please, my son, do not waste your life like I wasted mine. Find a way." Stepping outside that clinic into the pitch-black dawn, at exactly 5 a.m., by the way, Thomas felt this massive surge of anger at his own helplessness. And standing right there in the quiet dark, he made a vow. He was finally going to find a way out of poverty. So on the bus ride back into town, Thomas actually recognized someone. A highly successful local businessman named Mr. Chun. Gathering up a ton of courage, Thomas just flat out asked him why a successful man was up so incredibly early. As they got to talking, Mr. Chun figured out Thomas's whole backward schedule. And this brilliantly illustrates the brutal truth Mr. Chun pointed out. Thomas was awake when the world sleeps and asleep when the world works. I mean, wow, no wonder he was stuck in life, right? That's when Mr. Chun shared the life-changing secret that had completely transformed his own life like 30 years ago. He called the hours between 5 and 7 a.m. the magic hours. He explained to Thomas that these quiet dawn hours, that is exactly when you can build the life you actually want, while literally everyone else is still dreaming. Think about it. The world is dead quiet. Your phone isn't buzzing with notifications. Your willpower is at its absolute peak, and your mind is totally fresh. To really drive this point home, Mr. Chun met up with Thomas the next day and actually drew out the math. 730. That number is staggering when you think about it. It represents hours. By taking just 2 hours every single morning to build your foundation, you stack up 14 hours a week, 60 hours a month, and an incredible 730 hours a year. Guys, to put that into perspective, that is the equivalent of 91 full workdays. In one single year, you essentially get 3 entire extra months of highly productive time that everyone else is completely wasting in bed. Okay, let's move to and see how this builds into a truly actionable system. Mr. Chen drew out this super strict 2-hour foundational blueprint right there in his notebook for Thomas. It's a highly specific division of labor for those magic hours. So let's break down exactly what happens in each of these 2 blocks, because this is where the real magic happens. The very first hour, from 5 to 6 a.m., is dedicated 100% to building skills. Listen to me on this. This is not the time for watching TV, and it is definitely, absolutely not for doom scrolling on your phone. This is for laser-focused learning that is going to directly change your financial situation. Mr. Chun made it super clear that with free online resources out there today, like YouTube or Open University courses, you can learn a trade, pick up a new language, or master a technical skill. Today, there are literally 0 excuses. Then we hit the second hour, 6 to 7 a.m. This one is all about building your body and mind. Mr. Chun liked to call the physical body your vehicle, because let's face it, if that breaks down, you have absolutely nothing. So this hour requires a solid 30 minutes of exercise. We're talking walking, going for a run, or even just stretching. The remaining 30 minutes, that time is used to actively train your mind. You read, you plan out your entire day, or you just sit and review what you learned in that first hour. Now, having a routine is one thing, right? But actually sticking to it? Totally different story. Mr. Chun laid down 3 completely non-negotiable rules to make this system work. We're going to go through these rapid fire. So here is rule number 1. No negotiation whatsoever. You wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. And yes, my friends, that explicitly includes weekends. No sleeping in. Mr. Chun warned Thomas that telling yourself, "Oh, just today, I'll skip it," or making those little tiny excuses, that is exactly how the entire system falls apart. Consistency is the absolute bedrock of this whole thing. Instantly pivoting to rule number 2, which, to be honest, is completely critical for making rule number 1 actually possible in the first place. You must sleep by 9 p.m. As Mr. Chun so perfectly put it, you cannot cheat sleep and expect to succeed. Your body absolutely needs rest, period. However, you control when you rest. Protecting that 9 p.m. bedtime means you have to cut out the late-night Netflix binges. You have to skip the endless evening social media scrolling. You are literally trading those wasted, empty evenings for incredibly productive mornings. And finally, we arrive at rule number 3. This rule is really all about managing your own expectations, because the harsh reality of building a brand new habit, it's tough. It is incredibly harsh. The 90-day commitment, you have to push through. Mr. Chun laid out the exact physiological timeline Thomas was about to face, and it goes like this. That first week, it's going to be absolute hell. Your body will hate you, and your mind will be screaming with a million excuses to just hit snooze. But you have to push through the pain. Because after 21 days, it actually starts to feel normal. And after 90 days, it becomes who you are. It's your new identity. Mr. Chun essentially challenged Thomas to come back and see him in 3 months, assuming he hadn't quit. Now, what's really interesting about this part of the story is that Thomas actually accepted the challenge. That first week was, as predicted, pure physical pain. Just dragging himself out of that bed was agonizing. But he sat there in the dark and he chose to study accounting, watching completely free Excel tutorials online. Around day 20 or so, his body finally adapted and he started to actually enjoy those super quiet mornings. By the time he hit the 3rd month, he took those self-taught Excel skills and built a brand new, highly efficient inventory spreadsheet for his huge warehouse. His supervisor? Absolutely stunned. And just look at the incredible result here. Word of his amazing new inventory system made its way up to the warehouse manager and, eventually, right to the owner. On day 87, literally just 3 days shy of his 90-day goal, Thomas was called into the main office. They were expanding their accounting department and they offered him a day shift job that instantly doubled his current salary. Think about that. From a seemingly hopeless night guard to a day shift office worker in less than 3 months, all because of 2 focused morning hours. Fast forward a year later, and Thomas was the company's lead accountant. He had moved his mother into a really nice, safe apartment where she could get proper medical care. But here is the absolute most important takeaway from all of this. He still woke up at 5 a.m. When his coworkers asked him, "Hey, why are you still waking up so early? You're already successful." He just smiled and told them, success is not a destination, it is a daily practice. Because after those first 90 days, waking up at 5 a.m. wasn't just a strategy to get a job anymore, it had fundamentally become his permanent identity. So the crucial point is, this isn't just some inspiring, feel-good story about Thomas. It's a literal blueprint for anyone watching this explainer right now. I am taking the exact challenge Mr. Chun issued and passing it directly down to you. Tonight, I want you to set your alarm for exactly 5 a.m. Put your phone all the way across the room so you physically have to stand up out of bed to turn it off. Commit to learning just one single skill in that first magic hour for the next 90 days. And ruthlessly, fiercely protect your 9 p.m. bedtime. At the end of the day, it all comes down to a really simple choice. The difference between exactly where you are right now and where you want to be, it isn't about some natural talent or dumb luck. It's all about how you use the time when everyone else is fast asleep. You have the internet, you have endless education at your fingertips, and you have the opportunity. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. What will you build tomorrow at 5 a.m.? Your future self is waiting for you on the other side of that alarm clock. Don't make them wait another day.